Going on, everybody? It's Key Time coming back with another one to talk about the first week of the NBA season and my reactions, takeaways, and outlooks for every team in the NBA. Now, I'm going to start off with the Western Conference, do things a little differently than I did last week on this show. Now, the first team in the Western Conference, currently as it stands right now, is the OKC Thunder. Now, I believe that the OKC Thunder, they are going to be in the thick of things. And one thing that I'm going to do, I am going to give you the names of everybody that is on their roster right now. Alex Caruso, Assume Dean, Luguentz Dirt, Alex Ducas, Adam Flagler, Shea Gilders Alexander, Isaiah Hartenstein, Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Joe, Dylan Jones, Jay Mitchell, Alex Reese, Nicola Topic, Carson Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, Jalen Williams, and Kenrick Williams. So that is the team for the OKC Thunder. As of right now, they are 3-0, currently one of the best teams after 3 or 4 games, depending on how many games that your favorite team has played. But from what I see from the OKC Thunder, this is just them building off of last year. And I expect them to be in the thick of things come playoff time. And I do expect them to be in the thick of things come the Western Conference Finals. I wouldn't be surprised if they are in the Western Conference Finals facing against either Minnesota or Denver. Now, the Phoenix Suns, I've always had trepidation with the Phoenix Suns. One thing about this team, over the past few years, they've had trouble getting bench points. Bench production has been a large factor when it comes to the Phoenix Suns. And I'm going to give y'all everybody who is on the Phoenix Suns roster, starting off with Grayson Allen, Bradley Beal, Bol, Devin Booker, Jalen Bridges, Ryan Dunn, Kevin Durant, Colin Gillespie, Osio Adrio, Tyrus Jones, Damian Lee, Monte Morris, Joseph Nurkic, Royce O'Neal, Josh O'Kee, Mason Plumlee, and Ty Washington Jr. So that is the team that the Phoenix Suns have. The bench players, I already see trouble when it comes to the Phoenix Suns bench. Since the season started, they have only averaged 17, 18 points. Now, like I've always said, don't take anything away from the first 4 or 5 games in an NBA season. Let's get the first quarter of the season over with first. Like, get to game 25. We'll see where everybody is at. But as of right now, I'm just gonna give you all the players' names who are on the team, and I'm gonna tell you how I see their games playing out and their seasons. Now, the next team I'm going to cover is the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, the Los Angeles Lakers are 3-1. JJ Redick, he's still new to this thing, so I'm gonna still give him time. I'm not gonna jump to conclusions and ask if this is working out here. Is LeBron okay with this here? Is Anthony Davis okay with that there? Because they have a breath of new fresh air in LA right now. Because we all know what Darvin Ham used to do. JJ Redick has completely turned the switch, and he's got this team, even though this is still a process, he got the players feeling more confident that they can win in tight and close games when it comes to coaching. If a game comes down to coaching, the Lakers believe that they can win a game or two now. Now, when it comes to the Lakers roster, this season they have Max Christie, Anthony Davis, Rui Hachimura, Jackson Hayes, Jalen Hood, Felino, excuse me, Jalen Hood, Shafino, Bronny James, LeBron James, Dalton Connect, Christian Coloco, Maxwell Lewis, Quincy Oliveri, Austin Reeves, Cam Reddish, D'Angelo Russell, Amarel Torrey, Jarrett Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent, and the last one on the team is Christian Woods. Now, the Lakers are 3-1 right now. I see them making the playoffs, possibly, let's say, finishing out the season with that 4th or 5th seed. I don't see them going any lower than that. If they do, it's because they had injuries on down the line. But as of right now, I see the Lakers. The worst I see the Lakers finishing is 5th, and that's the only thing. The Dallas Mavericks, they are currently 4th right now. Dallas, I can see them finishing 6th or 7th, because I just don't see them getting back to the NBA Finals, because you have too many more teams that have better outstanding offensive play than the Dallas Mavericks. Now, credit the Dallas Mavericks, they have Luka and Kyrie and also Klay Thompson this year. But when you have teams like OKC still out there, Phoenix, we know that they are not a pushover. The Lakers, we gonna see where they at. The Golden State Warriors, they have some injuries. The Golden State Warriors, I expect them to be out. They gonna be out, because if you don't have a legitimate scorer outside of Steph Curry when he is injured, now credit Buddy Hield, he had a phenomenal game last night. But I don't think Buddy Hield can do that on a consistent basis, because he is not going to make 7 threes every game. He do good if he make 4 threes every game. So the Golden State Warriors, where they at right now, 5th in the Western Conference, I expect them to either sneak into the play-in tournament or be out of the playoffs entirely. I just don't see it from the Golden State Warriors this year. I believe that this year for the Warriors, they're going to have to take a back seat this year, because you do not have any legitimate scores that can go get you some points outside of Steph Curry and occasionally not Bradley Beal, but Buddy Hield. Yes. So the Golden State Warriors, they are a below average team this year. As far as the Clippers, they just a team that's there with James Harden. And what do we expect from James Harden? Do we expect Houston James Harden with the Clippers? Because we not going to get that. We not going to get that with the Clippers. Clippers, I expect them to be one of those seeds where they are there by default. The Clippers, they can be one of the top 6 teams in the Western Conference just by default, because everybody else under the Clippers, they are currently on the outside looking in. But like I've been saying, this is only the first 3-4 games of the season. Let's see how they are at All-Star break. Let's see how they are going into March. Let's see how they are about that. Houston, Minnesota Timberwolves, Sacramento Kings, Memphis Grizzlies, the New Orleans Pelicans, the Denver Nuggets. All of these teams have something in common. The first few games, they've underperformed. Now, like I've been saying, that this is only the first 3 or 4 games. But all of these teams, I expect for all of the teams that I just named to be in the playoffs, no matter what. Now, with Memphis, one thing that can hurt them is lack of defensive efficiency, meaning getting defensive rebounds, and lack of keeping their opponents under a certain amount because they had trouble with that last year. Also, New Orleans Pelicans. This is a year where they should be turning the corner. You got Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson looks healthy and better than ever. So the New Orleans Pelicans, they should be able to make some noise this year, if not next year. But I expect them to go a little bit further than they did last year because they was in the play-in tournament, last season, lost. I expect them to get to the first or second round and then lose by a much superior team. Now, that's all I have for the Western Conference. Now, for the Eastern Conference. Eastern Conference, we all know that the Boston Celtics are going to be at the top of the East. Currently, the Cleveland Cavaliers are at the top of the Eastern Conference. Now, it's only been 4 games, so Cleveland Cavalier fans, do not get too excited because I'm about to bring y'all back down to reality. Boston has a better team than anybody in the Eastern Conference, so I'm already putting them first. The second team I'm going to have is I'm going to say the New York Knicks or Philadelphia 76ers. I don't know because the New York Knicks and Philadelphia 76ers, they play the same style of basketball. But if I had to put some money down on it, I'm going to put the 76ers in that second spot because Tom Thibodeau, he does not preserve any of his players. He does not preserve his bench players either. You know, last year, Josh Hart, who plays for the New York Knicks, there was quite a few times where he played 16. There was a 16-game stretch last season where Josh Hart played every single second of every game for that 16-game stretch. And that's telling me that Tom Thibodeau, he does not give too much emphasis on his bench. He doesn't preserve his bench. He doesn't preserve his best players. Basically, the reason why the New York Knicks lost that series versus the Indiana Pacers last season was because they were burned out. They were burned out and tired because the bench players, they didn't have any bench players. All their bench players were injured. So they were basically penciling in starters and penciling out starters. That's all they had at one point in that series. So New York Knicks and Philadelphia 76ers, it's a battle for that second spot. The next 4 teams that I'm thinking of that could make a run for the playoffs is the Orlando Magic. Miami Heat always are going to be there. I'm a little bit skeptical of saying the Chicago Bulls because Chicago Bulls, we know by the time New Year's Eve get here, they'll pretty much be teetering to the bottom. So I'm not going to say the Chicago Bulls, but the Atlanta Hawks, those are 3 teams that I've been looking at, and they could pretty much make a run to the playoffs. Here's how I expect the final 6 to be in the Eastern Conference by season's end. Boston, Philadelphia, New York, Orlando Magic, Miami Heat, and the Atlanta Hawks. That's what I expect the top 6 to be in the Eastern Conference. The final 6 I expect for the Western Conference to be is Oklahoma City, Phoenix, Minnesota, Denver, And in that sixth spot, I'm gonna give it to the Lakers. Yeah, because in the sixth spot, I'm gonna give it to the Lakers. Now, Sacramento, I don't know. I don't know about them because they can be up and down. As always, like they were last season, there were quite a few games where they lost uncharacteristically. They were favored by more than 15, 20 points in some of those home games for the Sacramento Kings last season. So that is who I expect to be in the top 6 in both conferences by season's end. And with that, those are my reactions and outlooks to every team in the NBA this season. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, click the notification bell to get notified of all of my reaction videos, shows, and other content. And remember one last thing, the key is always on time.